Happy New Year and welcome to I Feel Fat Today. I'm your host, Kelly Taylor. Oh my gosh, 2023 is coming to an end. What a year it has been. Please subscribe to I Feel Fat Today on YouTube, where we have full video episodes each and every Friday. Like and comment on the videos. It really helps me out. Then head over to Apple Podcasts, where you can rate and review the podcast. Give a 5-star review, and your review will be featured on the I Feel Fat Today Instagram. And speaking of Instagram, follow us over there at I Feel Fat Today, and follow me, your host, Kelly Taylor, at Hello, This is Kelly, over on Instagram. All right, everybody. As you can see, no video for the intro of this podcast. I am recording this at the literal 11th hour, but I'm getting this out to you, and I have spent my day cutting clips of the best of 2023 for you guys to watch. To be honest, I didn't even cut all of the amazing moments from the show, but I cut out the ones that stuck out the most to me with my guests, that we can look back on and reflect on, and maybe it'll be the impetus you need to check out that episode if you hadn't. And it actually was really fun. Instead of skipping this week, like how I saw every other podcast doing, I thought, no, let me pull something together to really round out the year. This hasn't been our first full year of I Feel Fat Today, but we're off to a really strong start. Thank you to everybody that subscribed and followed and liked and commented and rated and reviewed. All of it helps so much. And 2023 was a really good year for I Feel Fat Today, and I am so excited for what 2024 will bring. More on the new year and resolutions and all of that on next week's episode. But for now, please check out the best of I Feel Fat Today 2023.
Probably I remember doing it as early as like 7, 8, 9, around that time, where friends would talk to me about situations, people, and it's like, what situations were we talking about at 7 to 9? But probably friends that were hurting their feelings, boys they had crushes on, maybe even teachers that were mean to them. And I would just naturally be like, well, I'm pretty sure he's feeling this, or I'm pretty sure she's, I don't think I use that wording, but I would just naturally have a sense of what the other person was feeling. Yeah, a knowing, and I didn't understand what that was. And I would usually give them help or advice, with that knowing. And I just thought that was normal. But I also, around that age or a little bit older, probably other people relate to this. It doesn't necessarily mean you're psychic, but I do think I've talked to a few friends that are healers or psychics that experience this. I was so curious about the unknown, about not only about spiritual things, but about supernatural events. I would take out so corny but so funny, like Time Life books on like the unknown, which I think had a commercial in the 90s. This is really before the internet became a big thing. And I would read about, ESP abilities and, ghosts and telekinesis and all sorts of things that I was just naturally curious about. I would also try to talk to my grandpa who has passed away. I had a couple of experiences where I felt like he was really there and things like that. And I didn't think anything. I just thought these things were kind of normal.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it, but it just felt normal for me. And probably in my early 20s, when I was also open to like getting psychic readings, of course, mostly with scammers, but a couple of times I would meet people who genuinely felt like they were reading my soul and make predictions that would happen and stuff. I met a couple of psychics who I actually had been told this a few times by psychics, but I know that this can be a lie, but that I had psychic abilities, I had medium abilities, I hadn't quite tapped into, and I would sort of like, okay, I would like not really know what to do with that, but I met a couple that were younger psychics and sort of took me under their wing and gave me some advice of ways to develop my abilities. Mm-hmm. And I started to, not really thinking about it, and then through like a series of events, which this is really common, like through different traumas, adult traumas and different, heartbreak and stuff like that, and also trying different things, trying different healings, starting to meditate more, starting to use crystals more, starting to use crystals in my third eye, which is a really, I think, could be a huge way of opening your third eye, which I can talk about more. I suddenly felt like my abilities were really developing. And when people would ask me advice, I would, especially about like, how does my ex feel or what job, I don't know what to do. Again, I was just naturally giving this input, and predictions started happening in a way that was like creepy, like literally predicting to the day people would get certain jobs.
Yeah.
Naming companies people would get jobs for. Things that they didn't believe, because they were like, well, I've never worked for that company, so I don't know. But then it would happen. And though I mentioned that because it reinforced to me that this wasn't just random, that I did have an ability.
Right.
And then I started doing different classes and different things to keep developing. And then like it was sort of a side gig that just kept kind of growing, mostly through word of mouth.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it is now. It's not something I really want to do full time because it's very exhausting. You're also dealing with a lot of cynical people, although it's become more and more, there's a million people on TikTok talking about it, which also is a double-edged sword. But anyway, so that's hopefully I answered your question with that. The different clairs, these are different types of abilities you have. So clairvoyant is the most known, and clairvoyant is a knowing of something. It's just kind of knowing something's going to happen.
Right.
Clairaudient is hearing, audient, like hearing words, where I have a few different ones. What's the other one that I listed?
Clairsentience.
Clairsentient is like a feeling,
like a body,
right, in your body, like just feeling like something's going to happen, which you can't quite put into words, but you just feel. So I have all three of these abilities. And they all kind of overlap, but they're all a little different.
It makes sense to me how they might overlap because like what you were saying about the knowing, I was thinking like, oh, you have like a knowing in your mind, but you also have like a knowing in like your hands.
It's weird.
Like your palms start sweating,
It's the most confusing thing about psychic readings, and I really do believe that most, if not everyone, can grow these abilities.
It sounds like going to the gym.
Yeah, but it's learning like a new muscle, right? It's like working a new muscle at the gym that you're like, I didn't know my hamstrings could do that. But the most confusing thing, just like trauma, is learning how to silence the cynical brain and the ego that's like, you're not that psychic, or like whatever, like what are you doing? This is so dumb, or you know what I mean? Like whatever that voice does, and learning to not listen to that voice as much and listen to the abilities, which is kind of along the lines of listening to your higher self too.
Yes.
Because I do incorporate that in my readings when I meditate and stuff like that. So it's kind of, and again, like these things happen all different ways. It's kind of like learning how to not listen to your mind as much and listening to your soul. Well, what the fuck does that mean? It's confusing, but that's basically,
All I'm going to say is I think Big Pharma demonized the word empathy and empathic.
Yes. Oh, really? What, how do you think in terms of?
I'm just saying, because it's like if a guy on a dating app says that he is an empath, or if a girl says that she's an empath, they are automatically the most insufferable person that you've ever came across.
Yes.
And I really do think, because I have a relationship to the word empathy that you have, like as a kid, I felt other people's pain to my bones.
And you're probably, that probably means that you have.
To my bone. Like I legitimately, like I would have to like take off from school because I was so.
Did it make you uncomfortable?
Upset.
Kind of when you would look at other people when they were in pain or embarrassed, it would almost make you uncomfortable. That's a pretty good sign that you have empathic.
Movies really affected me.
Same.
Like, one time.
Especially animal stuff, but also just animal stuff. I mean, animal pain.
My older brother was obsessed with Titanic.
Oh, no.
And we were watching Titanic, and there's the scene where all like the dead bodies are in the ocean and they all froze to death, and the mom is holding the baby.
Yeah.
In that scene, I had my so I was probably 6 or 7, and my little brother was just born. And I ran downstairs to my mom, and I just grabbed the baby, and I was sobbing. I couldn't control myself, and I was just like, I'll always protect you. I couldn't go to school the next day. I was so upset. I've had other instances where like I've seen something like that, especially with babies on television, and my parents would be like, "What is wrong with her?"
It's just a movie, whatever.
Yeah. And I'm like, the baby.
It's almost like you experience the trauma.
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
So I have that relationship to empathic feelings, and I described myself back before calling yourself, saying that you had empathy was like a buzz thing.
Yeah.
I always describe myself as being someone with a lot of empathy, and I think sometimes I did use it as a crutch. Maybe I let my trauma responses override.
Yeah.
And kind of use it as an excuse for, why I am freaking out at something as, a college kid, whatever.
Right,
so I see that aspect of it. But I really do think that what you were saying of, when you talk about needing to work on your inner child, people hear that and are like, I'm an adult. I don't need to do that.
Yeah, what? Like, that's
they
so
literally
dumb.
reject it.
Well, I think a lot of people, both men and women, maybe men a little bit more, and then also older generations are like, can't you just like suck it up and like feel better?
Suck it up.
But and I think this is really sad, but it makes sense. Again, using kind of logical brain, ego brain, that happened a long time ago. I'm okay.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
It's still in your body, and
your
that's
bones
why
remember.
Yeah, your body remembers. It's in your body. It's in your nervous system, and it's in your emotions. And probably that's why you have certain behaviors you don't understand. And even if you can say, well, I have this and I have that, and I'm happy, probably if you really got real,
Yeah.
There's certain things you have issues with, and that's related, things that you don't fully logically understand. And I just want to say one thing really quick, because I've dealt with this a little bit, of people and their cynicism with being an empath since it's become a trendy thing. I saw somebody post, and he probably won't watch this, but maybe a comedian post a few months ago. I almost commented, but I didn't. That like, oh, anyone who says they're an empath is really a narcissist.
Yes,
and,
I've heard that.
And I wrote a whole big thing, and then I didn't respond, which maybe makes me not a narcissist, but I don't know. But anyway, I was like, this is a big can of worms, and I don't know if I want to get into this because I think it's complicated. I believe being an empath and being a narcissist are both out of trauma. They're both trauma responses. And it's a spectrum. It's the opposite ends of a spectrum. And both can be unhealthy. Narcissism is thrown around now like fucking everything.
Yeah.
Just like being an empath is sort of thrown around now. But most people fall on the spectrum in one end or the other. Doesn't mean they're necessarily narcissists, doesn't mean they're necessarily empathic, but most people fall in that on some level. Because, and this is where it gets a little complicated. I talked about this with Karen when I was on anyway, on her podcast. But I believe the empath abilities often are brought out more through trauma when you're a kid, because you have to do things, you have to understand adults' emotions in a way you don't understand why, but usually it's because your parents, are having conflict and stuff like that. But it's like a chicken egg thing. Probably you also have past lives where you're like a healer if you believe in past lives, and you have these, it's in your lineage, which I do believe I probably was. My point is that like, it doesn't, just because like this guy's example was he knew an empath who just talked over him the whole time. And so he's like, so this person's really a narcissist. And every empath I know just talks over me, that they say they're feeling things and they just are interrupting you. And a lot of people commented a lot of different things, but that doesn't necessarily make you an empath. I mean, it doesn't necessarily make you a narcissist. But,
right.
Someone could get really excited, and it doesn't mean they have healthy communication styles. And I do believe a lot of time empaths also have ADD, which is a whole other thing. But my point is that they're both a reaction out of trauma, and how you handle them, just like how you handle your trauma, affects your behavior. It doesn't mean necessarily that they don't, like, being an empath doesn't exist.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It still requires kind of working on and dealing with, and, so
yeah.
anyway.
Habit. The mantras.
Habits.
My therapist has long been trying to get me to do it. Like the you're good, you're worthy, that kind of stuff. I can't do it.
Okay.
By the fifth one, I'm like, you're a pussy.
No, literally.
This is gay.
So, I have another suggestion for that.
Thank you.
I always, even if you are someone that likes to sleep in like silence, like you can't hear anything, I recommend having a YouTube track of very like quiet where you can barely even hear it, but
Whispers.
enough for your subconscious to hear it, of positive affirmations to fall asleep to.
That I like the idea of that.
I know.
But that scares me. I am prone to night terrors and also sleep paralysis.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
fear little voices in the room.
Okay.
I just fear that.
Okay. I'm into all things like weird and creepy, but the sleep paralysis thing, I almost don't even want to like read about sleep paralysis because
Right.
it's almost like the dark forest theory, where if I go and I find
tracks it, yeah.
like comes it comes and destroys me.
I've had that worry and thought, and after the first time I had it, I was afraid to go to sleep for a while.
Oh my
Like,
god. So
it
when was the
bad.
first time you had it?
So I was 22, just out of college. Similar. I was prone to a night terror for sure, and very vivid dreams. I also had those classic like witchy deja vu, like the where like
yeah,
you know
I've
those
had that.
dreams where you have. And I was just was I talking to you about this?
No.
It feels like a conversation we would have had, and we were destined to have it. But you know those dreams where you have like a minute scene of your life, and you're looking at it through your live, and you're like, that's weird that I just had a dream of me talking to my mom with Chris Metcalf in my kitchen, being like,
weird.
that's insane. That would
Yeah.
never happen. And then like 3 months later, Chris Metcalf's in my kitchen, and we're
Yeah,
having like
almost
I'm
like a
talking.
premonition.
Yeah, it's like it was. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we watched Charm, so we know
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Phoebe's. Shout out Phoebe Halliwell. It's her power. And levitating 6 feet.
Proper social distance.
That's what the power was for. Girlie's ahead of her time.
Talk about premonition.
But so I've always had that kind of stuff. But I had just broken up with my girlfriend from college. We broke up. It was like on and off again, but this one felt real. We got back together. But
I would be 22.
it was exactly. I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
And then I guess it was like. This was also, I was 22. This was before I started therapy. This was before I really learned how to deal with that. Before
Yeah.
I learned that it was anxiety. I used to tell people, I don't really get anxious. Meanwhile, I was just constantly in a state of fight or
I
flight.
don't get anxious because I always am.
I am anxiety
There's nothing to get,
personified. Yeah. Just constantly like juggling on a fucking unicycle. But it started with a night terror where all night I was waking up and I wasn't waking up. So in the sense of like I was in a loop, I was in a nightmare loop.
Oh my
where
god!
I would
you
wake
up
up,
and not wake up.
I would wake up
That's
and
never
I would
happened.
be like,
Let's maybe happen once.
so it was all night, and I was sweating. Like it was like literally, it felt at least it could have been in your brain. I don't know. It could have been like fucking 2 minutes.
Yeah,
but
yeah. But
it felt like an all night, just a slog, a battle.
Yeah.
When I woke up the next morning after all of this, I was so fatigued.
Yeah.
It felt like I went to war. But I kept waking up, and it was like I would wake up, and I would be in different scenarios, and then I was waking up in my bed, and my mom would come upstairs and cut my throat, and like it would just kill. It just kept doing that until finally I woke up, and I was like, thank God, I know I'm awake now. But I couldn't move. And then I realized I can't move. And I'm like this, and I'm on my stomach, and I can't move. And I'm just looking in the corner of my room, and I was still at home for the summer right before I moved to the city. And I lived in like, we had like this loft, like attic, like room, which is like big, and it's like deep. So I could see in the corner of the room across from my bed, and there's just a shadow, like a demon figure
Jesus.
in the corner of the room in a robe. And it just lifts up an old bony hand at me, and it's just kind of shrouded, and it's just pointing at me. And I'm just staring face to face with this thing for about, I don't know, it felt like 15 minutes. It could
Right.
have been 3 hours. It just was like, just
Could have been 2
absolute
seconds.
terror because you can't pull yourself. You
Yeah.
can't pull yourself away, all that kind of stuff. And then I finally woke up to low rider is a little. George Lopez is jumping up. Just George Lopez jumping up. Low rider is a little. I used to fall asleep to Nick at Night exclusively.
I relate. I relate.
I wish I had cable just for that reason. Because
Yeah,
sometimes,
yeah.
I like a little bed before, a little sleep, a little
Yeah,
TV
yeah.
before bed,
Yeah, I
especially a
can't
little
fall
palate cleanser.
Yeah, I can't fall asleep unless there's a Girls Gone Wild commercial playing in the background.
Jersey.
So that's really hijab. Hijab is a veil, but it's much more than just a head veil. It's like a veil between you and I guess kind of you could say like this material world, right? Keeping a veil between you and anything that's not good for you. Being modest in the way that you speak, and not just as a woman that like, oh, keep your mouth shut and don't speak up, but like just being modest, like not being boastful, not bragging, speaking kindly, just being modest in your behavior, just being a good
Right.
person, just trying to be humble, things like that. But with hijab, like with my own personal experience, I started wearing it a little bit. I started wearing it here and there after I converted because I'm like, oh wow, like it was a lot to do with my identity too, because I would feel proud when I would go out in public.
Yeah.
Like, people see me and they just think I'm like a white chick, you know? But when I would put on my hijab, like I'd be proud to like see other Muslims in public. So I'd be like, oh hey, like we give each other like salam. So like whenever you see
Yeah.
like other Muslims in public, you're like, salam alaikum, So I'm like always like, because no one ever says it to me if I don't wear my headscarf. So I'm like,
Right.
So I'd always like to wear it. And then I kind of had the intention, I made the intention that I was going to start wearing it full time on social media with the intent of wearing it full time in my daily life. Cause I'm like, when I start wearing it full time, I don't want to have to go back and delete all my videos, So I'm like, I'll
Yeah.
wear it full time.
Right.
And then I I just felt I was not ready to take that step. And I don't know if I ever will be, to be honest with you. And I think that's okay. That's completely okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think it should be anything that's forced on someone or like, you should feel like guilty, I think. I don't think you should feel guilty for like not wearing it. Um, what was I gonna say? What was I gonna
Well,
say?
well, it sounds like you were on this journey to like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna wear it full time. And
Yeah.
then like,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh yeah. Yes, exactly. So like when I was wearing it full time on social media, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna wear it full time in my daily life. So I'm kind of portraying myself as this full time hijabi, whereas in my daily life, I'm not doing that. So I just feel like I'm portraying someone that I'm not. And especially like I give respect to it. Like I really respect that full time, like the women who wear hijab full time, like the headscarf full time, because it is a commitment. And a lot of women, like, it's a struggle. Like I've worn it like when I was telling myself that I was gonna wear it every day, like it is a struggle. So like I give kudos to the women that do wake up every morning and put it on.
yeah,
Their commitment is insane. Like that takes a lot of commitment and dedication. But for me, I'm just like, it's just not
right.
something that,
It's
yeah.
where you are in your journey
Yeah,
with it.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
So when you were wearing the headscarf
Yeah.
in public, living in Michigan, I have to ask, like,
Yeah.
you do live near a big Muslim
Right.
community, but like if you're in the grocery store, like I could just picture like a white guy looking at you sideways.
Yep, yeah, totally. So, like you said, I'm thankful that like I do live near a Muslim community. So when I go out here in like any kind of Muslim attire, it's not odd because literally anywhere I go, I'll see at least one other Muslim there, right?
Right.
But if I go like back to my hometown or something, I do feel very shy when I wear it. Like I'll
Yeah.
feel odd. Like sometimes I'll wear it, and sometimes I would like to wear it just to purposely like trigger people. Like sometimes
Right.
I'll like, I'm gonna wear it here, because I'm like I just want to like I don't know I don't know like I just sometimes like not intentionally like pressing people's buttons, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna wear it
Yeah.
out. Like show these people that like we're not what they think we are, kind of
Right.
like that.
Yeah. Make a
So
statement, if you will.
yeah, yes, exactly. So but yeah, when I go out in public here, I'm very grateful. I don't think I've ever had a bad experience wearing my hijab. I don't think anyone has ever like said anything to me in public. I don't
Nothing
think
like nothing.
nothing like take that off or something like
Right.
that. No.
Right.
My husband has one time, not with hijab, obviously, but like one time he told me he was like it was in upstate New York, and he was crossing the street. He was on like a trip to like they call it Jamaats is when they travel to a different mosque and they stay the night there and they like study about Islam for the night and then they come home or they go for the weekend or the week or whatever. So he was in upstate New York doing that and he was crossing the road and he was wearing like traditional attire, like Muslim attire. And someone said, "Get on your camel and go back to where you're from."
Oh my God.
I know. Get on your camel. I was like, dang, that's a good one though. That's a good one.
I love that you can laugh at it. Like, I think it's beautiful that
Yeah.
you're just like, that's very
Yeah.
funny that someone
Yeah.
said that.
It is. Because I'm just like, what is wrong with me? That's crazy.
A very fat thing from them.
Yeah.
Are you aware of what Entenmann's is?
Don't talk to me about Entenmann's. Yes, I know what Entenmann's is.
I thought you would. Are you aware of what an outlet store is?
Please. Of course.
Okay. There is an Entenmann's outlet
Shut the fuck up. No, there's not.
in Queens. It's not there anymore. But there was one in Queens.
Entenmann's out.
And we would go to the Entenmann's outlet where everything was expired or freezer burnt.
Yeah.
And I would eat boxes of freezer burnt / expired cookies.
I'm so glad my family did not know
years.
about this.
Yes. Have you ever had a freezer burnt coffee cake?
It's probably amazing.
It tastes like sand. But you don't know. You don't know until
Yeah.
you had a fresh one and you're like, what is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. No, I didn't have freezer burnt, but anytime Entenmann's was on sale, it was in the house. And for some reason, I thought it was like a rule that you can't eat Entenmann's on a plate with a fork. Because it just always was like you cut a hunk of the cake off and you just have it in your hand and you eat it. Like you don't need a fork for Entenmann's.
This was an Entenmann's specific rule.
Entenmann's specific.
I want to make fun of you, but I think you're right.
Thank you.
I don't think I've ever seen someone eat Entenmann's not just with their hand.
Exactly.
Butter knife to cut the cake.
Butter knife.
Take it with your hand and eat it.
And you leave the butter knife in the cake.
There's no other way to do this.
Thank you.
You're 100% correct.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
What's the best Entenmann's cake? There is a right answer.
Okay. All right. I know there is a right answer. And I kind of oscillate, but gun to my head right now,
Oscillate's a big word for this.
because I do. Like, I love the crumb cake. I love the
Yes.
cookies. Like, I love all that.
Yep.
For me,
Okay.
it's devil chocolate cake with the marshmallow frosting.
Wow. Okay. Not what I thought you were going to say.
What did you think I was going to say?
Well, there's a right. That's not the right answer.
I can't believe it.
But also, I wasn't. God, the devil food cake, really?
Yeah, but the marshmallow, it's the marshmallow frosting.
I'm aware of the devil food cake with the marshmallow frosting. Had many expired. The correct answer we're looking for, Kelly, is the raspberry Danish.
Oh, see, no. No.
Oh no!
Yeah, no.
Get a.
We'll
do it for the
we
Patreon.
were in a big fruit and fruit wasn't a dessert in my family.
Oh, see the raspberry Entenmann's, that was fruit.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Got
Yes.
it. That was breakfast. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially the next day afterwards.
yeah.
Coffee.
Coffee.
Raspberry Danish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Gosh.
Entenmann's played a huge role in my life.
It got really bad. I think it got really, really bad in college. I was in a theater program, and when they start casting you, and when you start getting cast in things, you start getting like typecast. You start getting like, you know, and you're young, and there's only, you know, there's certain types, and I remember being given the feedback I either needed to lose weight or gain weight.
So,
But there wasn't a part, but at the weight I was, there wasn't really anything for me. I wasn't a type.
right.
And I was like, what do you mean I'm a person?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a human. And humans are in the plays. The play is about humans, so I actually am a type, but the type is human.
Right.
Turns out. But I remember being given that information, given that feedback, and it's like really being like, so I should either gain weight or lose weight. Well, if I gain weight, they're gonna keep casting me in this awful shit. I'm never gonna play a lead role. I was gonna, you know, so like I need to get skinny, and not even like fit, not even in shape. I need to get skinny.
Right.
And I was one of the. I may have been the biggest. For a time, I may have been one of the biggest people in my theater program that was, you know, one of the biggest female-bodied people in my program. And I remember being obviously compared to smaller actors and like going up against them for roles, and like I was called I was auditioning for a musical, and in every way and this is like not me even tooting my own horn, like I was absolutely told this.
Yeah.
Like that I was the obvious better singer, and I was the better actor, and I just didn't look as good next to the guy they wanted to cast,
Right.
because I was bigger. And so they cast someone, and that show was bad. It was bad because the girl they cast, and she like literally acknowledged in the dressing room, she said, I wish I sang like you.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
like this is opening night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I was in the chorus, they needed a voice. They needed voices in the chorus. I was in the chorus, like I was there, like, and the chorus is the regular people,
Right.
who can be any size,
Right.
So I was like,
Yeah.
of course I'm in this thing, and she's like, I wish I sang like you, and I was like, I don't know how to respond to that because I know that you got that
Because of the way you
because of the way that you look. And I was like, well, I think your voice is unique, and I think that that you were picked for a reason.
You're very kind.
I just didn't know what to say.
Right. You're very kind.
But I was like, I
Because even though it's like that hurts what she said to
Yeah.
you. That really hurts.
it did.
Do you feel, because I worry about the typecast. I worry,
Yeah.
and that's why I love stand up, is because from like a career perspective, it's like, well, if I'm good at this, if I'm good at telling jokes and I'm good at being a performer, I don't have to worry about the typecast, but I know it's going to come up
It's going to, yeah.
because it's inevitable. I'm just wondering, like, are things changing for the better where where like we'll have more opportunities afforded to us based on talent that our looks are removed from?
I hope so. I'm starting to fall into this world where I'm like, if I want to see the change, I think I have to be the change. I think I have
Right.
to just make the shit. Like, I think I just have to show you.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just have to show you that I deserve to be cast as a leading lady. I deserve to be the size I am and to fucking fall in love on screen. I deserve to be lusted after and wanted in this context. I deserve to be talked about as though I'm a beautiful person in the script, and then for you to see me and go, "Yep,
Yeah.
I deserve that." And if you don't, I deserve that. I deserve for some, and I think about that a lot. I think about character descriptions. There was I was in a new reading whenever I was in college, and like this is also one of the times where I was like, this is how people see me. And it was, my character was described as a substantial woman,
Right.
and I was like, huh,
Okay.
okay. And she was like, she takes up space, and I was like, physically, not like mentally,
Right.
Not like she's like, I was a
Like
substantial woman.
CEO of a company, substantial.
Not substantial like that. Not like status substantial.
Yeah.
Like just size. And I was
Right.
like, cool. And I kept seeing like more and more times, like there would be breakdowns, like I'd like get like I'd be like, there were an audition would be coming, and like the breakdown would be like, a jolly woman.
Right.
And I was like, jolly is that's some stupid code.
It needs to come with a glossary.
Yeah,
Like jolly equals fat.
Substantial.
Substantial.
imposing.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And I was like, interesting. I'm seen as all of these things. I feel like none of those things. I feel invisible. Like I feel like no one sees me at all. But apparently I'm jolly and imposing and substantial. I'm a woman of substance. And thinking like, oh, that's how I'm seen. It made me very much aware of the space I take up. And now, and I used to have a lot of shame around that. And now I think I'm trying to tell myself I take up the amount of space that I deserve. And I deserve to be seen in those spaces.
Wow. Oh, that's so healthy. You're so healthy.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Therapy is working. Therapy is therapying for me.
I hear that.
It's been years, and also not for nothing. I think I'm liking myself more now. And this, I hate to put it in like the context of like love, but like I have this person in my life who has seen me in so many different sizes. Like when I first got to New York, I was real thin. I was like, I had, again, the college, like I wasn't eating. And then I, graduated and I waited a couple years and like was doing my thing in Arkansas. Then I moved here, but I was still really freaking thin. And I was like, oh shit, vegan options are everywhere. I'ma eat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I did eat. And Scott was like, let me take you to all the vegan places that you've never heard of before. And then like, also like during the pandemic, like I gained weight then I lost weight, we got married, and then the pandemic happened and Scott learned how to bake, and I was like, fuck, I'm done.
You're done.
He started that sourdough.
Yeah.
It's still going. It's still going. That boy bakes He bakes
Oh.
cookies, cakes, pies. I eat them. They're all vegan. I eat the shit out of them. I love him for it.
Vegan snacks are so good.
But like even that, like seeing that, like seeing the way that he sees me, like is a very, and I hate that it took that, because I should have. I think I needed someone to tell me when I was a kid, and like a little kid in those Weight Watchers meetings, I needed someone to look at me and go, yeah, but you're enough still.
Yeah.
You know, but like, yeah, but even so, you're fine. You know,
Mm.
like with you as you are, this is good too. If you want smaller, sure. If you want bigger, okay. Like,
Yeah.
you know, but the whole of you is good enough, and I needed that. And I don't think I felt like the whole of me was good enough, even though I had the loving parents who never made me feel ugly. They never made me, my mom and dad never made me feel weird. They never made me feel anything but loved. But I think that felt like, of course you love me. It's mandatory.
Right. Yeah. You don't have an option.
Like, you birthed me. I came from you.
Yeah.
I look like you. Of course you love me. You know? But this, you know, for no reason he loves me.
Right.
He has, for no reason other than he just does. And I didn't have to earn it. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to be some special thing.
You just had to be you.
I had to be me and show up. And I showed up like weird and wrong. And he was like, this is great.
Yeah.
Into it, the whole thing. And it's been the whole thing from varying sizes of like small to big to small to this, which is pretty stable for me. And he wants the whole thing. The
Yeah.
whole, like, he wants, like, we have this thing where he says, all of it, always, every time. And that's like the whole, I just like the body, the mind, the whole thing, just whatever you got, I'm in for it.
Wow.
And that has made me feel so cherished and so deeply loved and appreciated. And I don't think I had felt that way my whole life.
It's really amazing that you were able to accept that love, because sometimes I feel like what I see people that can be very self-sabotagey, they're confronted with that and they
Yeah.
can't accept it.
I could not accept it for a while. It was for a bit. He had to work on me.
Yeah.
As in, like, he
Put
had
the mic up to your
oh,
mouth.
sorry. He had to. Oh yeah, I'm terrible. He had to like work on me for a time. Now I'm gonna be loud as hell. But he had to work on me for a time. By work on me, I mean like he was like, I still sometimes I will have like a negative thought, and I'll mumble to myself, and he'll hear it across the room. He's like, no.
Oh my gosh, I
No,
love that. I
no.
love that he's saying no.
I'm like, oh yeah, I don't think that. He goes, you might think that, but it's not helping. No.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet.
And it's incredible. He's so freaking incredible. And this is now probably a show about how much I love my person, but I love the shit out of my person.
And
I
like
love
just
him.
like the fact that you're able to be there for each other is so amazing. Like he had you when he was sick, and you had him when he was showing you how to be loved. Like that's so beautiful. And you know, who says we can't have a little help in learning to love ourselves? That's
Oh,
beautiful.
I
He's
needed
there.
it.
That he's in your life for a reason.
I think so. Like
He's your Lamictal.
he's my mental. He's just balancing out my brain chemistry.
Yeah.
Just making it all, you know, making the twitchy go away. Truly, making the twitchy stop him.
In the video, North rubs a variety of lotions and potions on her face, including a pricey moisturizer from a line called Drunk Elephant. I hadn't heard of Drunk Elephant until my daughter included it on her Hanukkah wish list. She's 8. Joke's on me. I'm going to pause here and say I have an inability to buy Christmas presents for people and not put something in the cart that is also for me. I think it's because I'm bad at shopping for myself. So if I'm in shopping mode, I'm like, oh, I also need that. So I had been wanting to try the Drunk Elephant like bronzing drops. And of course, I saw the girlies on TikTok. I literally think I saw like an 11-year-old do this, where they have like the Drunk Elephant moisturizer that comes in this like specific packaging, where the way that the moisturizer is dispensed is you push the top and it like comes out of the middle. And then they take the bronzing drops and they squeeze a few of the drops in the moisturizer that they've just dispensed from the applicator into this perfect little area to like mix in the bronzing things, the bronzing drops and the Drunk Elephant moisturizer. And I'm like, oh, that's great. I'm going to throw that in the cart too. That moisturizer was $68. No, I did not get that moisturizer. Bad enough that the bronzing drops were $38, which they psychologically were able to con me into purchasing because it wasn't $40. Because if it was $40 or $42, there was no way. Maybe even $39, I would have been like, oh, that's a bit much. But $38, I was like, that's in the budget. But yeah, $68 for the moisturizer. And I realized it's not the moisturizer that you're paying $68 for. You're paying $68 for the ability to have the packaging where you dispense the lotion by pushing down on the little circle thing and watching as the moisturizer, the $68 moisturizer, dispense out and make this perfect little circle that is just ripe for you to combine. And it feels like, you know, you're doing these little potions and you're just going to be so beautiful if you buy the Drunk Elephant moisturizer. But I didn't do that. I just got the bronzing drops.
I have oscillated and I'm growing in my journey and of body acceptance, but you know, definitely this year I hit my heaviest weight. And
really?
I've always said that I feel like whenever I am at my heaviest, I'm more happy because I'm not caring about that. I'm just
Yeah.
living my life.
Yeah.
And that's what like I noticed like in my 20s, like the times I was my thinnest, I was like, oh, because I worked out twice a day because I was depressed.
Yeah.
Like I was heartbroken over this guy
Yeah.
and I would work out like nobody's business to try and take my mind off of something
Yeah,
or to
hurting
make
me.
a revenge bod so that he regrets saying
Yep.
no to me.
Yep.
And just very unhealthily
Totally.
getting to that point that when I was just like just happy and doing what I wanted,
Yeah.
I put on a few pounds because I love eating.
Yeah. There's joy. There's so much joy
Yeah,
in food.
and so that's kind of I'm trying to get to a point now where it's like, okay, like I haven't weighed myself in a while, but I put on the shirt because it didn't fit a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Just because like I've just been consciously like making sure I don't eat as much as I used
Yeah.
to. Making sure like let's add 10 more minutes to my walk today. Just
Right.
like little things that make me feel good. And like I don't know what the scale says for me right now. But for me, like I put on stuff, I'm like, oh, these pants are a little looser than they
Yeah.
used to be like. But like I'm not gonna step on the scale because that number is irrelevant to me and it has done nothing but hurt me. But just like for me, I'm like, I feel more comfortable and more confident right
Yeah,
now. Like I
and-
couldn't button the shirt up. Literally, I got it a month ago and at the belly it was like like
yeah.
at the seams that I've
And
just
now you put it on.
yeah, and
Now
I
it
was just like
fits.
pulling out shirts and I just like I put this on, I was like, oh my gosh, it fits. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't like being like, I'm gonna lose X number of pounds to fit this shirt. It
Yeah,
was just
my
like
goal shirt. I have my
Oh.
goal shirt in my goal closet with all my
I-
goal clothes.
I had a whole closet of goal
Yep.
shirts.
Yep.
And when I moved up here to New York, I was like, to hell with it.
Yeah.
I donated it all.
Yep.
I can't bring dream
Yep,
shirts.
these are going to the thinner, less fortunate.
Yeah, the people who are not chasing their dreams shall inherit these shirts, and the people who are gonna go be famous
Yep.
have to wear some more
We have to-
sensible
we
clothing.
have to buy bigger shirts.
Yep. Yeah, and so for me, because like I think it was at the beginning of this year or was it last year, I hadn't weighed myself prior to the pandemic,
Yeah.
and so like I was at my friend's house and her bathroom had a scale. I'm like, oh my gosh, you have a scale, and she's like, don't get on it. And I was like, what if I do? She's like, you're not emotionally strong enough to handle this. And
Your
I was
friend
like,
knows you. That's so nice.
but I was just like, I am. And I saw the number. I was like, and I just yelled, I wasn't. And she goes, I told you. She knows me
Yep.
too well.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I have never had an original experience, I have to say. Like the amount of times I'm just like, oh, a scale. Let's check it out. It's
Every
like,
time I'm
I'm really doing this at the Friendsgiving.
Oh yeah, I'll see it like in their bathroom, and I'll just slide it out with my foot, and I'm like, why not? And then I'm like, I'm depressed.
Yep.
I am
Yep.
depressed.
Like, why is Ryan being weird?
Yeah, he went to the bathroom, and now he's sad.
I'll never forget this. I was in Trader Joe's in DC when I was living there, and it was like pretty peak food insecurity for me. Insecurity makes it sound like I was impoverished, like obsession for me.
Yeah.
And just really overthinking everything. And I was staring at this olive tapenade from, not kidding, fucking 7 minutes. You know, like just like reading every ingredient. You know, like this is this gonna make or break my physique, you know? And it's like not gonna fucking matter, you know? And this guy just comes over and he goes, "You like olives? Get it."
No way.
I swear to God. And I was like, okay. And I literally just put it in my cart. Like I was like, thank you. I have not stopped thinking about that. Like that was probably 10 years ago now. That's it. That's the whole,
Yep.
I think that sums it up. It's like,
And there you have it, folks. That's some of our best of clips of 2023. Definitely not all of them, but a nice smattering of them to round out the year, reflect on some fun moments. If I had more time, I would have included more, but alas, it almost feels like it warrants a part 2 of best of, but I don't think I'm going to do that. 2023 is in the rearview mirror. Bring on 2024. I will talk to you in the new year. Bye.